2025 has been a brilliant year for the S&P 500. We had that Trump dip along the way, but overall, the S&P 500 index ended the year up year to date at the time of recording by nearly 18%. However, UK investors in most GBP-listed S&P 500 ETFs have seen returns of only around 7%. So why is there such a massive difference? This is a huge difference this year. And you can see why a lot of investors have looked at that and think, what's going on? Is my ETF doing something wrong? Have I done something wrong? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss exactly that. So first of all, to understand what's gone on here, we need to go back to the basics and say what the S&P 500 index actually is. So we can think of an index as just a list of companies. And at its simplest, the S&P 500 is a list of roughly top 500 US companies. And you can see here, I'll put the list by side of me. It's market cap weighted. So market cap weighting means the greater the market value of a company, the greater the weighting it has in the index. And that's why you have the Magnificent Seven, particularly Nvidia, Microsoft, and Apple at the top of the S&P 500 index at the moment. Now, the important point here is this is a list of US companies, and all of these companies individually are listed on US stock exchanges and are traded in US dollars. Therefore, if you bought these individual stocks into your account on Trading 212 or whatever investment platform you use, you're going to have to convert your pounds into dollars to buy these stocks. However, most of the time when you're buying an S&P 500 ETF, there's no currency conversion going on your end. You're probably buying a GBP-listed S&P 500 ETF, an ETF that is listed in Great British Pounds. I use the most popular example, the Vanguard S&P 500 VUSA, just because that's the one that most people know about, but the iShares, Invesco, Spider, these all want other fund providers that have ETFs listed in GBP, and the same thing applies. Now, resultingly, as I mentioned, you're not having any currency conversion going on your end. However, that does not take away the currency impact. At the end of the day, you're buying a GBP-listed ETF, but all of the stocks within that ETF are listed in US dollars. Therefore, your returns are not only dictated by the performance of those underlying stocks, but also the USD to GBP exchange rate. So the simple rule to understand here is that in any given period, if the pound weakens, your GBP-listed S&P 500 ETF will outperform the index. However, if the pound strengthens, your GBP-listed S&P 500 ETF will underperform the index. To make this easy to visualize and understand, we'll use an example. Let's say at the start of the year, this is roughly what it actually was. At the start of the year, the exchange rate was £1 equals $1.25. And then by the end of the year, in December, it's £1 equals $1.35. So it's gone from $1.25 to $1.35. The pound has strengthened against the dollar. Your pound gets you more dollars, and vice versa. Your dollar converts into less pounds. Let's say as a UK investor, you invest £100 into US listed companies at the start of the year. That £100 gets you roughly $125 worth of investment in that US stock or US stocks. And let's say over the course of the year, those stocks have a great year and they go up in value by 20%. So you now have $150 worth of US stocks. Now, if for whatever reason in that year, the exchange rate didn't move, £1 still equals $1.25, that $150 converts into roughly £120, and you've got pretty much a clean 20% return. However, the reality is the pound has strengthened against the dollar. So when you convert that $150 you now have in US stocks back into pounds, you're not getting £120, you're getting more like £110, £111. So rather than a 20% return, you're getting an 11% return. So in this quick example, you can see how in any given year, the currency exchange rates can have a big impact on your return. It's not as simple as the performance of the underlying stocks when different currencies are involved. This is exactly why, as a UK investor, if you invest into a FTSE 100 ETF or UK listed companies that are traded in pounds or pence, then the return of that stock is your return. Minus trading costs, there is no currency conversion going on, so you get pretty much the clean return of the stock. Now, moving back to ETFs, say an S&P 500 ETF, it's important we don't confuse the fund-based currency with the trading currency. The fund-based currency is what you'll see on key investor information documents, and sometimes just to confuse us, the ETF provider or the investment platform will put it in the name. So you might see, for example, Vanguard S&P 500 UKITS ETF USD distributing. And you'll look at that and go, USD in the name, oh, I'm buying this ETF in USD. No, that's just a fund-based currency, and that is pretty much irrelevant for most investors. It's just used for accounting, reporting purposes. The currency that actually matters is the currency that you're buying it in. And as you can see in this example here, the Vanguard S&P 500 VUSA, it's listed in pounds. So you're buying it in pounds. So the two currencies that actually matter for this equation, what we're talking about in this video, is the currency that you're buying the ETF in and the currency of the underlying stocks. Okay, so we've established why the S&P 500 ETFs that most UK investors invest into have underperformed the index quite significantly this year. However, I want to be very clear, there's a number of reasons why you shouldn't therefore conclude that, oh, I should go and buy the USD-listed version, because on your investment platforms, you'll also be able to access S&P 500 ETFs that are listed in euros or dollars. So I'll just go buy the dollar-listed version because therefore I avoid that impact of currency exchange rates. Well, it doesn't really work like that. Let's explain. The first reason why you want to avoid this is because you're just chasing the current winner. And you can see that the USD-listed ETFs have actually seemingly performed better than the GBP-listed ones, and have avoided that currency conversion. And you could buy into that, and then next year, the pound could weaken against the dollar, and it'll be the other way around. The pound-listed version will outperform the USD-listed version. So you should be careful, and with all things investing, chasing past performance and FOMOing in to a different type of investment of the same thing, just because you've seen it's perform better this year. The second reason why you probably don't want to buy an ETF that is listed in a different currency is because you're going to have to pay currency conversion fees. If you hold Great British Pounds in your investment platform, say for example in stocks and shares ISAs in the UK, you can only hold cash in pounds, and you want to buy a USD listed ETF, well, your platform is going to charge you currency conversion fees to convert your pounds into dollars. And whilst we can't predict currency conversions, exchange rates, what we can predict is that fees eat into your returns. That's an absolute, there's no argument with that. Fees eat into your returns. So as investors, most of the time we want to minimize fees as much as we can. And then the third reason, most importantly, let's discount those first two reasons for now, why you probably still shouldn't go rushing to buy a USD listed ETF. You're not avoiding the currency risk. You're still going to be exposed to the currency risk, because guess what happens when you come to selling that USD listed ETF? There's currency conversion going on because your platform is going to convert those dollars back into pounds. So whilst the share price return of that ETF may be keeping up with the index more closely, you're not actually getting that return because you're buying into that ETF and GBP USD is going on the exchange rate. And then when you sell it, the GBP to USD exchange rate is happening again. That's why on Trading 212, for example, you'll see the FX impact of these investments in a different currency. You're still impacted by the exchange rate fluctuations. It's just no longer showing the share price return. It's now got its own separate line, FX impact. So the overall return is going to be exactly the same. You've just shuffled it around. You're not avoiding the currency conversions because as UK investors, eventually you're probably going to have to convert that investment back into pounds to be able to withdraw it, to spend it, or even to get it into your account in the first place. Because as I mentioned, in stocks and shares ISAs in the UK, you can only hold pounds. So if you held a USD listed ETF, that is eventually going to have to be converted back into pounds, and therefore you are exposed to the exchange rate. You haven't avoided it by buying a USD listed ETF. Okay, I wanted to give a quick mention to another type of ETF that if I don't mention, there will be comments about, and that is currency hedged ETFs. So these are a type of ETF that use currency forward contracts to try to mitigate the impact of exchange rate fluctuation to give you a closer return to the index. So these are GBP listed. They can be listed in Great British Pounds. For example, this popular one, GSPX. It's the iShares S&P 500 ETF GBP hedged. And if we plot this against the index, we can see it has tracked the index pretty close for this year. And that is the impact of that currency hedging. It's done a pretty good job. So is it a no-brainer to go for a currency hedged ETF as they don't have that downside, you could say, of an unhedged ETF? Well, there's a few things to consider. As always, there's pros and cons. First of all, currency hedged ETFs usually have higher fees than unhedged ETFs. Hedging has costs, and that is reflected in the fees that ETF will charge. Second of all, hedging isn't perfect. As you can see in the examples and the past performance, it hasn't tracked it exactly. There's other things at play here. You're not getting the exact return. It's much closer, but it's not exact. And most importantly, hedging works both ways. If the pound weakens against the dollar, then the unhedged ETF will outperform the hedged ETF. If the pound strengthens against the dollar, the hedged ETF will outperform the unhedged ETF. So it's vice versa, and you could end up buying the hedged ETF and then the pound goes on to weaken and you'd have been better off in the unhedged ETF. And you'll just end up performance chasing. So there's no right answer here. Some people have a mix of each. Some people just go all in on unhedged or hedged. Just remember that regardless of which one you pick, there's pros and cons, and it's not as simple as there's a right answer here. There is definitely not a right answer. I can see why some people go for hedged, some people go for unhedged, but just be aware that there'll always be periods where one outperforms the other. To conclude, I want to discuss what this actually means and what you should do about it. Importantly, what I want to stress is that we should always have a long-term mindset, a long-term perspective, because 100% equity investments are volatile, they're risky, and therefore we need to go into them with a long-term mindset. And it's comforting to know that over the long term, the performance of indexes, equity indexes, has absolutely dwarfed currency movements. For example, look at this. I've got 2003 to 2025 performance of GBP to USD and the S&P 500 index. And just look at this. It's not even close. Minus 16% for GBP to USD. So the pound has got 16% weaker against the dollar in 22 years. Whereas meanwhile, the total return of the S&P 500 index, including dividends, is over 1,000% in the same period. So in this 22-year period, has it really been worth stressing about currency fluctuations? Of course, past performance doesn't guarantee future results, but as I mentioned, this can be quite comforting to know. And the very last thing I want to discuss in this video is the idea that you can put a positive spin regardless of what's happening with currency exchange rates. And that's what I like to do, so you don't overthink it. Say this year, for example, when the pound strengthens against the dollar, if you're investing every month, if the pound has got stronger, you can think that you're getting more out of your next contribution because your pound contribution is getting more dollars. Your contribution is therefore stronger, buying you more shares than it would have done if the currency exchange rate stayed the same. And then the positive spin, if the pound gets weaker, then the returns of your existing investments in your portfolio will show stronger because the pound has got weaker, your investments get a boost. So you can see what I'm saying here. Pound gets stronger, your contributions have more buying power. Pound gets weaker, your existing investments have a nicer return to look at. So I like to put that positive spin, and this way I just don't really think about it. But of course, that's just how I like to think about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about exchange rate fluctuations? Do they impact your investing decisions? Do you look at currency hedged ETFs? Let me know. I'd love to hear. And as always, thank you for watching.